overview of the evening program. So we are going to have some incredible music from Greg. We're going to hear about the C.A.S.E work in our community. We're going to hear from one of our clients, and I think that you will be very impressed and very touched. We'll have an opportunity for Q&A, like was mentioned just a little earlier. And then, of course, I will ask for help if you can give, and then we'll end with music and get started with hearing this incredible music. If you have a glass, I'd like for you to raise it. It could be coffee, it could be tea, it could be champagne, it could be wine, it could be whatever you want. And I want to give a toast to tonight. I want to give a toast to C.A.S.E for helping the families in our community. I want to give a toast to each one of you for spending time with us this evening. I want to give a toast to the opportunity that we have for helping those in need. And most importantly, I want to say, in this time, in this very unprecedented time, may our positive energy touch the hearts of those in need. Hear, hear.
Hear, hear.
Here.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Well said.
Thank
Thanks, Catherine, for that warm, embracing welcome and acknowledgement. And thank you all again for attending. And I do want to shout out, we had 2 extra board members join, Umo Aliwaya and Judge Beverly Woodard. So we welcome you as well to our evening. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about sort of the impact of where we are as an organization. You know, I began to think about when I looked at the date of March 13th and when all of our worlds were impacted by COVID. And I thought, well, how long ago was that? And I said to myself, oh, maybe it was 10 weeks. And then I looked back at the calendar about an hour ago and I realized that, you know, we're about 19 weeks that the pandemic really has impacted all of our worlds, each of us. And it really turned our world upside down here like a pancake at C.A.S.E. You know, we, as the video showed, we were already supporting such vulnerable children. And now to have this pandemic impact their lives, we saw a quick spike in the already mental health needs that we were servicing here at C.A.S.E. The demand for our services has increased just over those 19 weeks by 9%. And we are proud that we were very quickly able to convert all of our service delivery to virtual. So what we're experiencing right here tonight is what we do here day in and at night. You know, I'm used to doing, you know, the virtual service delivery through telehealth here at C.A.S.E. We began to think not only of those that we were servicing locally, but also our national presence. And we began to launch some free services as well in the educational domain, webinars across the country. And we've reached you know, close to 5,000 families and professionals that have joined our educational forums like you are. We launched parent support groups for parents throughout the Washington, D.C. metro area. And, you know, I have to say that many of you are parenting yourselves, that we have a very stressed parenting population who are trying to figure out, you know, how do they survive as teachers, as coaches, as entertainers, and also hold down employment and support children who, as I said, are struggling with issues around, you know, depression. We've seen high rates of kids running away. We've had children attempt suicide. We've had kids needing to be hospitalized and also engaging in self-harming behaviors. So you can imagine in your own world how this pandemic has impacted you. But again, thinking about the children who've come from compromised beginnings already, the impact that this has. And then we did something really creative where as we were shutting things down here, it was really hard to leave our space. I'm here tonight. I began to think about what we could do to further support our parents and decided that we would do virtual story time. So who was going to read the books to the kids? Well, I was here. So I had one of our staff videotape me, and we began to create story time for younger children that we could give some of the parents a break. And the really cool thing was we decided, well, wouldn't it be great if we could reach out to the larger community and see if anybody else would want to engage in reading books to young people. And so we got Congressman Anthony Brown to read a story. We got the CEO, Deborah Waller of Jockey International, to read. She's an adult adoptee herself. And then really cool, a couple weeks ago, we were able to get Simone Biles. She herself was adopted, came from foster care, and read a wonderful story to our children and families. So these are just a few things that we've done in a very proactive way to continue to support the families that we care so much about here at C.A.S.E. So from a sort of fiscal implication of COVID, we have doubled the monthly outlay for clinical financial assistance. So you probably maybe can see Kathleen and Mike, they're somewhere here on the screen, and they're the only ones that are sitting out near water because they're in Florida. But as the co-founders, they've had a commitment to making sure that we don't turn away anyone. And so we've had a vibrant scholarship fund to help support children and families. And this financial assistance has really been tapped dramatically during COVID. Just so far in the 6 months, we've serviced over 56 clients and families during this period of time. And we've also unfortunately experienced $1.3 million in funding cuts. So, and I anticipate that as we see the future of the financial implications, that there may be more of these cuts along the way. Our largest fundraiser, our gala, had to be postponed, and I'm not sure that we're really going to be able to pull it off. It's set for October 16th, but doesn't look very good. And on the positive side, we were able to be very proactive again in garnering about $588,000 in emergency support, and did receive one of the PPPs. So that was a positive. And then the most, I think, uplifting piece for us right now is one of our campaign members has provided a very interesting challenge grant through the Carol M. Jacobson Foundation, recognizing the need for our scholarship funds to continue, that if we could raise $100,000, they will contribute $50,000 to keep the scholarship fund very fluid. So I hope that gives you a quick sense of where we are, what we've done, and what the need is. So thank you, Catherine, for that, again, introduction. And now I'd like to share an opportunity for you to hear from Rachel Shafaro, who is one of our emerging leaders at C.A.S.E. Rachel is an adult adoptee herself, and also is a contributor to one of our recent publications where we created a teen workbook that was really very powerful stories from those teens that we supported. And Rachel was one of those young people that decided to share her story with adopted teens all over the country. So I'm going to turn it over to Rachel.
Thanks, Debbie. Hi. Thank you guys for all coming tonight. It's such a great cause to be here on something that in my heart I truly believe in. So I'm super glad that everybody came to catch up with us and listen to some music. About me personally, I was adopted from Chile as an infant. So I came to America when I was about 6 weeks old. And I was adopted into a Caucasian Jewish family. So I was converted to Judaism and raised in a very traditional Jewish household. This is great. I had a great family, great parents, but I always felt very out of place, very different, which presented a number of problems for me. And that got me involved in drugs and alcohol and a lot of things that totally were not great to be involved with. I think as a kid growing up, I was struggling so hard, and I was trying to find places where I belonged, places where things maybe seemed a little bit certain. As an adult adoptee, I can look back on my childhood and feel like things were very shaky. Everything was always very uncertain. Everything was very rocky. I knew way more about loss before I even knew what loss meant. than I care to admit, because I had lost a biological mother, an entire culture, an entire country. Everything that was me was kind of taken away and then recreated. So I grew up with this uncertainty of the world that I was living in. I didn't know, was this going to be my new reality? What if I misbehaved? Would this send me back to an old reality? Like, where was the solid ground for me? And I just didn't have that. It was something that I struggled with for so long. When the pandemic hit, I think the first thing that I went back to personally was thinking about my adolescent self and thinking, how would I deal with that compounded uncertainty on top of the uncertainty that I was already feeling because I was adopted and I just didn't know if this was my permanent home, if this was a place that I'd be for forever. So I think about these kids and I can't imagine what they're experiencing. And when I hear from Debbie that they're having runaways or suicides that are increasing, or suicide attempts that are increasing, and just general spikes in anxiety, depression, overall mental health problems, it totally triggers a lot for me. As an adult, I've had years of therapy, plenty of coping mechanisms, but I can't imagine what these kids are going through. Super trying time for everybody. I know even as an adult, I constantly worry. I have two moms. I'm in reunion with my biological mom, and I have my adopted mom. And I constantly am at fear. What if I don't get back to Chile? What if I don't get to go see my biological mom? What if one of my mothers doesn't make it through this? It's super tough, super uncertain, super scary times, but definitely a time in my life where I feel like I know why C.A.S.E is so important. C.A.S.E has always felt like home to me. It's a place where I don't feel different, where everybody can relate to me, nobody's judging me, and that's been a wonderful thing. So I'm thankful to be here for tonight. I hope that we can get these kids, help this organization to get these kids the therapy that they need so they can find that stabilized environment, that concrete ground that they're so desperately grasping for. And I hope that we can do it before they start reaching out for things like drugs and alcohol and all the things that became very problematic in my life.
Thanks, Rachel, for sharing that personal, the deep personal aspects of your story. And we can't thank you enough. As I said, Rachel is an emerging leader. We just started an emerging leader program at C.A.S.E, hopefully that we would attract, young people like Rachel with lived experience to move on to our board of directors. And I know one day she's going to be sitting on this board and really make yet another realm of impact. So thanks. When you leave us tonight, you probably can think about, there are some adoptive and foster families that you will know, or people that are connected in some ways. And we hope that you'll share the information about C.A.S.E so that, I think that's when Kathleen and I thought about co-founding and starting C.A.S.E, we didn't want families to wait until they're in crisis. We wanted families to know, as Rachel said, that this is a safe place that you can come anytime along your journey, and we'll be here for support. So just as we need your fiscal support, we also need your support to spread the message about what we're doing.
I'm hoping that this evening you learned something about C.A.S.E, or that the work that C.A.S.E is doing has been reinforced in your heart and your mind. We had several goals tonight. The first was to heighten awareness. As Debbie said, it's really important that our community know that C.A.S.E is here, because there are a lot of children and families in need. As she said, suicide rate has increased. Mental health is really a major challenge right now. And there are families that just are pulling their hair out because they just don't know what to do. But C.A.S.E is there for them. Secondly, we wanted to have this as a friendraiser, i.e. fundraiser. As Tamara said, there is a matching opportunity that one of our supporters has put out there for us to meet. They indicated that they'll give $100,000 if we raise $50,000, and we are very much on our way to do that. But tonight we wanted to celebrate, and this was the third reason, to celebrate and to applaud the work, and maybe even to relax have a drink, and hear some great music. So before I turn it over to Greg, the way you can give is you can click on the link in the chat, and you can give that way. You can go to your internet, and you can click the button Donate on adoptionsupport.org. You can mail in a check to C.A.S.E, and it's in Burtonsville, Maryland, 3919 National Drive, Suite 200. Or you can find out other ways that you can match, like an employer match and etc. We are hoping that you have learned something tonight. We're hoping that you understand the severity and the need that exists with C.A.S.E. We're hoping that you'll become a part of the C.A.S.E family and be a part of how we grow going forward. So I would like Greg, who we're very, very thankful to come back on and to play some more music for us as you are thinking about or connecting with the chat to give. So Greg, I'm turning it over to you.
Who these wonderful musicians are that are here this evening. On the drums, we have Mark Carson. On the bass, we have Pepe Gonzalez. On guitar, we have Jennifer Twombly. And I'm Greg Twombly. We're going to play a song from Cuban composer Pedro Flores called Obsession.